Thrilling 30 Windblade. This figure's a little infamous for this alt mode here, or just in general, but I really kind of like it. Like, the jet mode is definitely the weakest part of this figure, I will say. It is a little kibbly, but that doesn't mean it's bad. The VTOL fans do actually spin, which is a nice touch, especially when compared to other Windblade toys, and they do rotate. She has functional landing gear in the front, which is something I will never not point out about a jet, and she has molded landing gear in the back. Kind of nice. It also leaves a little bit of vehicle kibble in the robot mode, which I like. My tail fin will not tab together correctly, but that's fine. And aside from the obvious shins and the small gap poking up, she has a good vehicle mode. Also, the sword and scabbard, more on that later, can store underneath the jet mode. It's a fun toy. I really like the way the wingtips have these like flared edges, and it just looks good, or at least passable for a first attempt at a Windblade toy. And, you know, for a first toy, this is pretty good. It's fun, which is what you want out of a Generations figure. It's fun, and I think that's what you want out of any transformation or any Transformers toy. For comparison, here she is with the newest rendition of Windblade, Cyberverse Universe Legacy Windblade, as well as Flame Toys Windblade trying her best to be a plane. Aside from that, we also have her with Legacy Crankcase, RTS Jazz, so this would have been out around the same time this was, and Combiner Wars Laserfire, and Shattershock, and we can't forget my boy, Machine Wars Hoist. If you like my channel's content, consider supporting it with a channel membership with the join button below. Thank you.
This thing is like a little bit more basic than I thought it would be. I thought there'd be a little bit more to this, but there's not. So to get started, you want to just kind of come back here and wiggle the two tail fins apart, and then just pull these to the side. They should untab just by wiggling these. And to start, that's really it. Slide these out just a little bit on these brackets, and then you want to come down here and split the tail fin leg sections. Come over here, flip out what'll be the heel, and then rotate this around. And you want to push it to the inside because it can't go around the other side. And then just bring the leg down on its strut and collapse it in. We'll do the same on the other side. Bring that heel down, push it through on the inside, and bring the leg down on the strut. And there you have Windblade's legs. And we're just going to rotate her at the waist and flip around. And you can see it's basically done. Flip up the landing gear, fold open the chest, and bring back the nose cone onto the back, and then flip out the head. And then you just want to bring up these struts, fold the backpack back in, and then flip these little wing bits up. And from here, you can adjust the wings back and up. I do wish that they were more ball jointed, but like, it's fine. Fold up the shoulder pads, and there we go. There is our Thrilling 30 Windblade, and of course, you can actually take the sword, and you can store this a couple different places. So you can store the sword on the side of the nose cone. There's actually like dedicated slots and tabs for that, or you can store it on her hip, and that works out. But for the purpose of this, I'm going to be storing it on the back, which there's a slot there, and it just tabs in right there and folds down. And yeah, there we go. There is our Generations Thrilling 30 Windblade in robot mode.
Now, I think Windblade's robot mode is actually kind of fantastic. A lot of people say it's not super great, but aside from the semi-wonky head sculpt, which I think really suffers because of the makeup, I think that's really what kills this head sculpt. It's not that bad in person, and I think people give it a lot of flack, but the build on this fembot is really nice, and it reminds me of when we used to get fembots who looked like this. Now they're all square and chunky. I think Minerva is kind of the closest thing we get to this. I love the unique body shape to her. Like, sure, she does have kind of a stereotypical fembot body or female body, but I still think it looks good and it works for Windblade. This is how she looks. Look, check out her evergreen artwork. Also, the sword and scabbard are incredible. She can hold it, she can mount it on her hip or on her back, and it looks great in many different positions. She doesn't have too much kibble aside from the jet VTOL wings, which I wish were on ball joints so they could move a little bit better, but it's okay. They clean up pretty nicely. Windblade is just amazing, and for comparisons, we have her with her latest counterpart, Cyberverse Windblade, and you can see they're about the same size, and here she is with Flame Toys Windblade, who's roughly Voyager class. Here they are with Laserfire and Shattershock. Here they are with Road Ranger, Leader Class Scourge, and Machine Wars Hoist.
Articulation on Windblade is actually really good for a Thrilling 30 figure. So she has a ball jointed neck, but it can't really take advantage of it. It can look side to side, and she can tilt it down and up pretty far, so that's cool. The shoulders can rotate 180, except they are hindered a little bit by the wings and the shoulder pads. So, but they are ball jointed, so they can go out this far, then go forward about that far. She does have a bicep swivel, despite the arms being kind of skinny. The elbows go 90, if not just slightly past 90, and she does have a wrist swivel, so that's really good. She also has a waist swivel, which is a full 180 waist swivel, although it feels like it's kind of at an angle, so sometimes posing is a little awkward. Ball jointed hips that let her go that far forward, that far back, so pretty unimpeded back, that far out. And they do have a swivel. Do mind that she does have some detailing at the front that does kind of hinder it, but you can get around it fairly easily. So there's that. I also really like these landing gear on the back of the thigh. I just think that's really cool. Her knees can actually tilt forward pretty far, and they do bend about 90, if not slightly past 90. And even if they couldn't go much further, there's very little space between that landing gear and there. So there that is. No ankle tilt either. So, but of course you saw how the legs were formed, so it's like, how would you do that? And then in terms of accessories, she has 3 accessories. She has her sword and sheath, so that's pretty basic there. And then if you grab the back of her head and you wiggle this part free, she does in fact have the fan accessory, which, so she can hold it, she can do whatever you really want her to with it, just like the new Cyberverse one too. And the sword, as I mentioned earlier, it can stash on her hip, although it doesn't really like to hold. She can hold it in her hand, or it can tab onto the nose cone on the back, which is where I like to store it. I think it looks really snazzy right there. Oh, and then the wings can rotate up, and they can bend at one hinge, so they can actually get out of the way and are quite posable, and the VTOLs do rotate, as I showed earlier. So a very posable Thrilling 30 figure in my opinion, and not a horrible one at that. Definitely not as bad as like some people make it out to be.
Overall, I think Thrilling 30 Windblade doesn't earn the reputation that it has. I think this is a decent Windblade. I think it's a good Windblade, in fact. And yeah, sure, the heels are a little annoying because it's hard to get her to stand, but this is what Windblade looks like, in my opinion. Check her evergreen artwork. It's what she looks like. And it reminds me of when we used to get fembots like this, which I like. Windblade looks different, and I think the head sculpt, while it could be better, is the thing that kills this for a lot of people. But I don't think it's that bad. And if you love Windblade like I do, and like Shattershock does, this is a fantastic addition to a Windblade lineup. I think she's totally worth the price. If you can find her for $30 or less, I think she's definitely worth it. But if you're not super into that head sculpt, if that's what kills it for you, I still recommend it. There's other options out there. With that said, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Let me know if you have this figure in the comments below. This has been Bot's Obsession. With that said, by the way, if you're looking for more videos from me, make sure to check the 2 right next to this figure, and I'll see you in those as well. Thanks for watching.